Hello and welcome to the program. Today is a freeform discussion, chat, and hangout. How is it? What's going on? Anything exciting? We'll hit a little bit of news. Today, release For the Love of God. It's out.
Woo! Excellent.
Yeah.
That's right. Today's the 23rd.
It is the 23rd. And the remarkable thing on actually hitting that deadline is I said it a month or so ago, month and a half ago. I was looking at dates, and then basically it was I was like poking around at stuff. I wanted to make sure I got it out before your romance thing. Tomorrow's the day for that, right?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I will put up all the promo stuff on the Facebook sale social accounts for you too. Yeah, so it was like I had a handful of alpha readers, some turned into beta readers. I was doing some live reading for some friends as well, working through and refining stuff. And then I had one last beta reader come through on the Tuesday before I was preparing to submit it. And I was like, they caught a couple things, and then obviously I already did the audiobook reading performance for that as well. So that'll, I might start chopping that up tomorrow a little bit, start to get into it, see what I have, make sure it's viable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, hey, what's up, Robin? Yeah, so that luckily was able to turn that stuff out. I hope people like it. I am, satisfied with the story and where it went. I think that there's a lot of stuff that challenged me as a writer to explore some territory that I haven't yet. And I'm looking forward to getting started on the next story of this series, which is, I want to get kind of right into the beginning, just getting some kernels down on paper. I already have the outline done for the story, so it's just kind of a matter of beginning to populate some of that stuff. But also, podcast session from last month's chat is up as well.
Excellent.
So that's up there. And then 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, I had Graham Bradley on the program, and he has put out a new book with 40 Degrees North. Hold on, let me look. I don't want to say it wrong. 40 North Press. That's what it is. So,
Excellent.
Heartlanders. And if you don't know him yet, he's doing.
I think he's in our sale. That's the romance sale.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he has a funny version of Beauty and the Beast from the point of view of the hunter.
He's been doing good. He's working with Rack Press. He's got
excellent.
This one, Heartlanders, is with 40 North Press, and he had been on the podcast last year in the fall, and then when he was putting this out, I was looking for guests, as I always am, and brought him back in to talk about this one. And the interesting thing about kind of following up on interviews with folks that I've already done a recording with, it's just kind of like where the conversation's able to go, and to kind of make it a little bit more, I guess exploratory, less biographic, less introductory. So that's cool.
That's great. So my big news is that last night at 3 a.m. or something like that, I finished listening to chapter 52 of my audiobook that my wonderful narrator has been doing. There are 2 chapters that are not done because we had put them aside for reasons I won't bother going into. But otherwise, it's like 20 hours or so of audio, all 52 chapters, because they're most of them are at least 20 minutes each. Some of them are 30 minutes. Are done, and it was just we've been working on this for a long time. It was really nice to get it done. So,
how long have you been on it?
Oh, we must have started about a year ago. I don't think we really. What happened was we started in the fall, but then her daughter had to get married, or had the blessing of getting married, not had to get married. I told her just to take off. So I think we got back to it this winter after, her daughter got married in December. So we got back to it in January. So mainly we've been doing it since January. But it's a long book with many different parts to it, and it was and tons and tons and tons of people that she has to do voices for. Because what happened with this book 6, is I had enough material to do 2 books, but I really wanted to get my character's freshman year done because the story is based on a game. The game had 7 years. I'm trying to turn it into 8 years. So I invented this freshman year, separating it from a lot of stuff that was in the first year in the game. And there's certain important emotional points that happen in what's now the second year. And I was really tired of trying to add more before I got to that. So I said, okay, I'm just going to do the whole rest of this first year in one book, even though I had 2 climaxes that, I could have separated out into 2 books. So it's a really full book with and the last, 10 chapters is one big dramatic thing, and then another big dramatic thing, and then a third big dramatic thing, all at once, I guess it's really 2, because the second 2 are connected, but the first one is unrelated. And though I tied them together for, rather well for the book. So it's really long, and it has all these different parts in it. And I think the most ambitious thing and difficult thing was my character goes basically to heaven for a couple of chapters, but she also goes to fairyland. And I made the mistake of putting the fairyland scenes, and I couldn't really change it because of the setup, after the heaven scenes. So it's really hard to describe a heavenly thing and then also make fairyland interesting, but not repeat what you said about one or the other. That was a real challenge. The other thing that's really fun with this book is she spends the whole book looking for a magic item, and then due to a error, the precious, impossibly powerful magic item gets mistaken for a ball during a sports game, and she's there with all these people hitting it back and forth, and terrified that someone's going to recognize it and end the world or something while she's sitting there. So that was really fun. It's just a fun book. It has a lot of fun, silly things, but also some really dramatic things, and it has some deeper themes to it too. It's a really fun book.
When do you think it'll be out?
Oh, well, we have these 2 chapters that we were going to have a friend read one part of. That's why it's but he's lost his job and been really busy. So we're going to give him a day or 2 to see if he responds to our latest ping. And if not, she'll just do those 2 parts, and then it'll be done. So probably next week,
Oh, wow.
She just has a few little things she needs to do to get the beginning and end that Audible wants done, and the credits and things like that she does. But I would think probably by the end of June it'll be out, if not by early July. So I'm very excited about that. It's such a fun book.
Heidi, do we have you? What are you working on?
Hey, I'm here. What am I working on? Well, I managed to get back a developmental edit on the fort, and yes, thank you very much. And I want to set up a time to chat with you, actually. I'm trying to go through it right now so I'm going through it. It's great from what I've seen. It's super helpful, but excellent, and all of the good things. But what I need is a couple of days to sort of absorb it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So so that I can figure that out. So I've got that.
He's kind
Just,
of
once you've gone through it and you've had a chance to think, just ping me and we can chat. Sometimes there was one or two things where I thought I really haven't said this as fully as would be useful. So, it gives you type it out. So if we chat, we can discuss it and see if there's anything else that.
Oh, for sure. I absolutely. It helps, right? I mean, if there's something to be said about having that conversation.
Yeah.
Because it gives you an opportunity to.
I always try to be to explain my thinking, but one never knows. That's why I always say at the bottom, let me know if you have any questions, because you never know if you've explained it fully enough, or if maybe there's something else that one could say that would make it more clear, So definitely let me know and we can chat about it.
I think both forms are useful, writing it down, everything, and then having a conversation about that. So I kind of want to get my head around everything so that I can, we can keep the conversation more pointed, so that I'm clear. And I have some ideas already about what you were saying about some of the stuff that I've looked at. I didn't have I looked at a lot of it yesterday. So
maybe I'll remember the other thing. Yesterday morning, there were two things I wanted to add to the very last paragraph, and I only could remember one of them when I got down there. So hopefully, if I think of it in the next few days, I'll jot it down. It was just something that I thought it would be really nice to have, like a reaction shot from somebody about, but I can't remember what it was.
You make
so,
and this is a second. This is like book 2, right? So technically, and here's the thing you make a good point, and I'm sort of rolling, I'm rolling it over in my mind about it, where it's like how much do you assume the reader takes from book 1?
Yeah. There's kind of an art, I think, to quickly reminding.
Exactly. So this is an excellent point. So that's an interesting thing to me, to go in there and sort of work that out. So among your other comments, and I've already figured a couple of them out. One you made, I mean, I'm not going to give too much away, but one you made about when people were, I'll tell you when we talk, because I don't. Yeah. Because I know you all are going to go out and buy the fort and want to read it and have no.
You guys should. It's good. It's good. And
I actually do have questions about what you guys are doing, because I'm curious. So you have a draft of the manuscript. Are you considering it an alpha draft, a beta draft? And then Jaji, are you considering what you're doing developmental editing, or are you looking at even more editorial type of stuff?
I don't break it down into different types of editing. I know people do. Yeah. Recently I had a job where the guy said, "Don't do any line editing." I'm like, what are you telling
line
me?
Editing? No, I don't.
Not possible. And I fixed the commas as I went along. This is what I tell people. I am not a copy editor, by which I mean I'm not good at the preciseness of noticing everything that might be wrong. I do, as I'm going, correct spelling or commas or something if I see them, but I'm not going to tell somebody, when I'm done, I've noticed them all, because I get caught up in the story.
Yeah.
But what I do is I'll correct anything I see at a small level, including, repeated words in a sentence or punctuation or something like that. But the majority of what I try to do is to make sure that all parts of the story resonate with the other parts of the story, to bring out whatever it is that, and I also say if something's clear, if something's, awkward. When I hand my book to other people, I tell them just put awk next to passages that are awkward, because a lot of readers can tell when they think something's awkward, but they don't know why. And when they try to tell you why, they often just don't make sense. But if they just mark it, I can often see. I go, oh yeah, I can see why this doesn't work, things like that. So I try to do all this, and I try to give reader reactions, which means I also try to say what I like I mean, I feel when you're getting a book back, you want to know what's working as well as what's not working. So I try to comment on things I like or things that are working or passages that are particularly nice or things like that too, because, you get back something and it's just what you did wrong. You feel a little glum, you want to know the good parts also. So that's the kind of thing I do. And then I get to the end. And I didn't have to do much of this for Heidi's book because it kind of flowed really well. But usually what I'm doing is I'm telling authors that they need to put at the beginning the motive of the character, and the motive has to reflect where the book ends. So they need something the character wants that either directly or indirectly, because sometimes there's no way to do it directly, resonates with where the character is going to go. So that way, you can do that at the very end, but it gives the reader the impression that the whole thing works together, and they know what the victory conditions are. A lot of books, the reader has nothing to anticipate because they don't know what it is the character wants. So they enjoy it while they're reading, but then they don't pick it up when they put it down because they don't have that sense of whether or not the character is going to succeed. So you want that's the kind of thing I go over when I'm editing.
Yeah, and I mean, I can give an example of something, and I think, I mean, to me, if I'm going to say alpha or beta, to me, alpha would be where it's just not complete, where the story isn't complete in terms of the arc and all of that stuff. I would say that mine is complete. It just needs to be cleaned up. There's no structural issue.
My alpha readers, my friend who reads it when I finish a chapter, I think it would count as beta once the book, as you say, once you have a complete version. Go ahead.
So, I know, Michael, when I've seen some of your manuscripts, you'll leave holes in it where in parentheses, gonna do this, gonna do that.
I do that too.
So, to me, that would be more an alpha state if we're trying to define it, right? But I don't do that per se. I wouldn't. I'm not gonna, that it's just how I function. But here's an example of something, what Jaji was saying, and it's right at the beginning of the book. So it's basically, and I was thinking about it. She was saying, you need to sort of set the parameters, is what she just said. So for the fort, you're you need to, before everything falls apart, you need to sort of say, I want this out of life, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I was thinking about that, and there's a scene, it's actually in chapter 1 where she goes to see under the sea to go to see the king.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm thinking that would be perfect, where she's
that would be a great spot for it. It would be much better almost than any other spot.
That's that's what I was thinking, because I can't imagine. I mean, otherwise it's like the author intruding in. That's the only place where it makes sense, because that's the conversation she's actually having with him.
What's neat in your book is often what I'm saying to the person is something like, you need the character to think someday I want to be, a great artist or whatever. But in your book, you get to do, it's kind of two things. If you have her think about this, it not only says where she wants to go, but it also does what we call play the trick, where it looks like she's going there and then everything starts falling apart,
Yeah.
So it makes what come after more poignant. So you have like a twofer if you put it there. It's a good spot.
It's that Kurt Vonnegut thing where he says we start up here and then we go down here.
Yes, exactly. It occurs to me that both had to write a sequel and would make a good subject for one of our spaces.
Yeah.
But
pretty sure we did that.
Another thing that could make a good subject is reaction shots. How to, the reader wants to know what your characters feel and think about things that happen, and how to do that. That could be a fun subject too.
We've done that too, actually. In fact, I can't remember the context. I believe it was in one of the point of view episodes, but yeah, the prequels and sequels thing we definitely covered. I'd have to go back and look at when that was.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now that you mention it, I kind of remembered it. Yeah.
I think maybe going into, you can pick some different things, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing, that's, I think, the hardest thing, trying to balance reminding the reader, how much does the reader need to, that's the thing I'm sort of, ruminating on at the moment, is how much do I put in before it just starts sounding silly, you know what I mean? Before it's like,
yeah, I mean, I have one book where I've been criticized for putting in too much. You don't want a whole recap, but I think the key is that when something is going on that is a direct relationship to or an echo of something that happened before, it's natural for the characters themselves to think about what happened before. And that's a great thing to look for. Like, for instance, she's going down under the sea. It's natural for her to remember and perhaps wince at, what happened the first time she went.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a much better place to put it than anywhere else in the book,
and it's sort
like
of
that.
I would agree. So, like, an example again that you pointed out is I have a scene. This is like in chapter 2, so where this woman, she's a washerwoman at the fort. She's coming in to she's looking for a less stringent job than working out at on the water cleaning clothes. So she comes in to be a maid, and Jack is running through his mind, why do I recognize this woman? So and so that that's an example of it, because she is in book 1. She has like one scene in book 1. So
and she's in the House of Jack built. Well,
before we give the whole plot away of the entire songless series, can we hear from Robin, who's been patient and waiting? What sort of updates do you have? How have things been going? Tell us about your progress.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Hello.
This has been an interesting discussion. I was not waiting on the sidelines.
I was waiting for you. I didn't want to make you wait forever.
Well, I have to say it's been a very, very good few writing weeks for me. First of all, I got my manuscript back from my editor. This is the novella. He basically liked it very much. I told him to do a critique. Yes, there are some things that he suggested, and I will probably do. He didn't like the last chapter, so I'm going to have a couple of other people read that, whatever. He did the line items. He got through all, he picked up anachronisms, everything that I wanted him to do. So happy with that. So that book is going to be done in a few months. It's going to take me a couple, 2 to 3 months to really get through that last edit. And my other news is that I have a contract for my sci-fi book. I got
congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
tell us about it.
I'm cautious. I'm a cautious person. So there were some red flags. At first I looked at it and of course I was over the moon the first day. By the second day, I'm like, I don't know, this doesn't seem right. It happened very quickly, and usually that doesn't happen with publishers. All right. So basically, I did my due diligence. Turns out some of my fears are unfounded. It's not a hybrid publisher. It's a real publisher. They sent a note along with the contract that was a little finger wagging, and I showed it to my podcast co-host, who is also a published author, and he said, don't worry about it. This just sounds like they're being extra cautious. I showed him the contract. He said, you know what? This is a standard contract. I looked at the contract. It's a small press. You're not going to make money off of it, but I think that they're paying me enough where I feel valued. There's a difference between being paid and feeling valued. So, yeah. So, they do insist that if I'm going to sign the contract, I sign within a month. I don't know if that's standard in the industry, and they also said, if you have any questions, please contact our editor-in-chief, which I did. I have 10 questions about the contract. She answered me right away. Thank you. I'm going to get back to you in a couple of days with the answers. So they're very responsive. My next thing that I'm going to do, actually, when I get off of the our call or our session here, is I'm going to reach out to about 5 of the authors who've been published in the sci-fi genre, and I'm going to ask about their experiences. I'm just going to, I'm going to send them sort of a template kind of email, but making sure that they know I'm a real person. And if I get 3 answers back out of 5, that would be great. So, again, I'm not sure I'm going to sign it. I'm very, very excited, but I'm also thinking, gee, what if it doesn't work out? So I'm trying not to get too excited. So that's where I am.
I have a couple of
Well, that
follow-up
sounds
questions
wonderful.
for you on that. And again, congrats. It's great news, as we have
Thank
been
you.
following the development of this with you for a while.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
The couple questions I have is
Sure.
do they give you any sort of timeline for the release of that book? And also, do they know you are working on another book that you are intending to self-publish, or have things changed with that? And how are you looking at your approach to the work you have?
Okay. Really good questions. First of all, that's the one question I sort of forgot to ask about, the release, but what it seems to me that they work very, very quickly, and they have a lot of authors. That's why I want to, I may ask that extra question, but I don't quite know. But it certainly seems like there's a quick turnaround. Now, as far as the other book. I had a different long-term plan, which was publish Sal Grundy first, because Mission Infinity is not going to be published for years, and now that has changed. So I'm giving myself time to think about it. Yes, this publisher does have, and it would be the same editor. She does sci-fi, dark fantasy, and all this. And this is sort of a horror kind of, it's not fantasy, dark historical fiction kind of thing.
Alternative history.
Yeah, I guess. I asked my editor. He said he doesn't even know what it is. So, but it fits somewhere. It fits somewhere like between genres. And he says that's very good because you have a very unique book.
Robin.
So
like for Saul Grundy,
yeah,
I would say that kind of fits almost in with like the sort of modern sort of mix up of the Penny Dreadful.
Okay. Yes, I think so. So what is that, horror?
For having read it, that's what I would say it fits in like.
So is that a horror? Is that horror?
Kind of. You know what the Penny Dreadfuls were?
Well,
Victorian
dark fantasy, maybe?
Yeah, kind of. It's not quite fantasy.
No.
It's more just, it's about an executioner. So it's dark from that perspective.
Yeah.
But go look up the Penny Dreadful.
I will.
They were just weird stories.
Yeah.
And they're dark, they're weird, they're sort of unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of where I would say it lands, but obviously it's not, you don't have fantasy elements per se. So I would say it would fit into that sort of thing, like the grotesque, like the circus.
Yes.
Something like there's a book called Geek Love, which came out in the 90s.
Yes, I think I read that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yes. I think you're right. Yes. It sort of has a little bit of body horror, but I don't like to go too far into it because
Geek Love is weird for sure.
Yes.
It's there's no way they would publish that book today. We
right.
can't do that.
Hey, just real quick before you guys keep going, I'm going to try and bring Rachel up. I think you were up here for a second and then you fell off. Let's try and get you connected and check your connection. Do we have you, Rachel?
Yes.
Hey, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while.
Hi. I know I've been spending a lot more time over on Substack.
Tell us about your progress. What have you been working on?
Oh, you're so kind, Michael. Thank you. I did DM you. I don't know if you saw it, but
right
I'm not
now?
sure who was. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm not
I'm on three
sure.
screens simultaneously.
Oh, that's okay. Whoever was speaking about getting the contract and having a month, I just wanted to say that's a normal period of time
Oh,
for.
thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Yes, you're welcome. Robin. And then also, if you want to have somebody review the contract, you can go to the Authors Guild website and ask for a contract review. And typically it's free. I think they might ask for a tip. I'm not sure. And then another option is Writer Beware .blog, and you can directly contact them, and the owner, well, one of the co-owners is Victoria Strauss, and she will review the contract for you as well, and there's no charge, but I don't know that she'd meet that time frame because she
Thank
gets a
you.
lot of requests. So that might just be some options to have someone look at it for you.
Thanks so much.
Writer Beware is a great resource.
Yes, yeah, it really is. I follow them a lot, and I send Victoria a lot of the stupid spam AI bot crap that we're getting now, because she's put, she does like these huge blog posts and reports about them, which I find to be very helpful. So, just wanted to share that. And then, yeah, I've been publishing weekly on Substack since August of 23, so almost 3 years now, which is really hard to believe because things just kind of went downhill here, but what I really love about it is I went from about 1,500 subscribers that I collected probably over a decade to almost 14,000 now. Not all paid. Yeah, not paid. I don't want to give that impression. I keep everything free, but if somebody's interested in creating paid content or putting up a paywall, you can. I do offer paid tiers, and that's one of the things I wanted to tell people. If you're interested in learning more about it, my Substack is totally free. Venny is there as well, and she's doing some beautiful work. So, just
you can post something up in the nest if you want.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just, go over, have a look around, and most, unless you're trying to build a business or sell your book on Substack, most authors, I think it's okay to offer a paid tier, but keep the content free. And the main reason for that is because it's going to get indexed. And that's what we want to see, is your content getting scraped and picked up by Google and AI search.
I have a whole bunch of different Substacks for reasons that, if I explained, would make sense. One of them is almost all only paid material, because the whole point of it was I'm putting up something that originally was going to be sold and the company went out of business, so it's up there under paid things. But the rest of mine are all free. I think I put up, there's one where I put up a paywall once. It was because the thing I posted that towards the end had stuff that some people would find might object to. So I felt it was better that only the paid people, see it. But everything else I do there, like you, is all free, except for that one that has the writing stuff on it.
Yeah, and I love that we have that option. Like, that's not something we get on social media unless you take your account private, whereas you have more options. And the other thing I really want people to learn, and I don't think I got this lesson, it drilled into my brain until I started on Substack, is that subscribers go with you. So let's just say that I've had Twitter accounts get shut down. Let's just say I have 100,000 followers gone, right? I don't have any of their subscriber data. Whereas if you're on Substack, you get that subscriber data because it's all in. And that's what's really crucial, I think, as authors when we're looking at a career.
Yeah, I love the fact that Substack is both, it's like a blog, but it's also like a newsletter. And you can kind of treat it either way, and you can get both benefits from it, which I really like. And as you said, we have, so one of the 5 Substacks that I have, one of them is just my husband's old newsletter. It's like people we know and people who like his books particularly. And it's not a very big one, but I found out someone was trying to pay. So I switched it to paid, everything's free there. but somebody pays him, $100 or so a year just because they wanted to donate something to him. And that's one of the things I like about Substack. It has that flexibility where someone can do that if they want to. It was really sweet of them to show a little support to him, even though that was not something I don't use that particular Substack for anything except something new comes out and I share it with the people that used to be on his old newsletter. But the old newsletter, we used to have to pay to maintain those emails. And now the Substack, it's free and we get a little money for it, and that's, the others I do more with. But that one, I was so surprised when I saw someone was trying to pay. I was like, okay. I'm sure my husband could enjoy, some coffee and a new book or something.
I know, right? Well, it is unexpected. I think a lot of times, I think I have 40 paid subscribers, and all of them, I treasure all of my subscribers. That sounds like really ridiculous, but the fact that somebody would go through the effort of signing up for something and following me, I don't take that lightly. So
I agree.
Yeah, but one of the things
I have very, very few. The weird thing I find is I have very few paid subscribers, but I have a few and I appreciate them very much. But the strange thing is that almost all of them appeared the moment I made it paid. And maybe 2 or 3 people have signed up paid since then. And I have no idea why. I don't know why those people decided to become paid and no one else does. You know what I mean? It's completely mysterious. I at no point have I tried to get anybody, well, that's not true. There's one person who wanted access to my writing stuff. And I said, well, you can go sign up to the Substack. So I think that's happened once or twice. But with all the rest of them, it's completely voluntary. And it makes such a difference to me. I'm really grateful for it.
Not to change the subject, but there was something I wanted to say earlier. I kind of got cut off. And it was in regards to sort of, we were talking about, a book too and stuff. Now, I found something that they have in Kindle. I don't know if it's new to me or new in general, but they've got this X-ray feature now. Have you guys seen that?
No.
So what you can do with the X-ray feature is you can take your book, at least for the Kindle edition, and you can put in a character description. So it'll highlight all of your characters. So for me, it's I have Hawthorne, right? So it clicks on Hawthorne. So you can put it so that someone in their Kindle, if they're hovering over it, can click on her name. And you can have a custom description come up. You can have a Wikipedia article come up if you want to connect it to some terminology or something.
Oh, cool.
And to me, I thought that's kind of a cool thing to be able to do, especially if you have a series.
Yeah. You have a little ongoing description of your character that pops up.
So there's, for the desert, I'm putting them in for the desert now, but I kind of decided I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I think what I'm going to do is for the desert, since the characters are all new there anyway, I'm just going to put in the characters commenting directly to the reader in first person. I thought that was kind of a fun idea. I don't know.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that might be fun. So I'm going to try that there, but I'm thinking this is another option, sort of that issue we were talking about. I mean, obviously it's only functioning in the Kindle, but it's, kind of a secondary thing that you can do to kind of enhance the experience for the reader if they're on Kindle. And I'm sort of working on that right now, at least for the first book.
It's kind of like pop-up footnotes.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'll tell you something funny about having to reestablish information. So in my first Rachel Griffin book, first Unexpected Enlightenment book, she goes to the infirmary. It was one of the first things I read. So I went way out of my way to make everything in the infirmary reflect her world and the way they thought about magic and things like that. So the walls are periwinkle and silver, and there's the ceiling has a orrery on it so they can set the day and time of the planets, and the curtains are orange because of one healing thing, and the floor is blah blah blah. Well, I tell you, it's really annoying. Every time I start a new book, everything in this building is unusual, and I have to describe it all over again. And from time to time, I think, why didn't I make anything in this room a normal color? Because it's such a pain every time I go in a new book to have to describe all these crazy things about this room. Some of them I leave out. I don't have to mention the dragon, the purple and green dragon agate that hangs over the bed in every scene, but. I had gone to such trouble to think out, how it worked based on the way the magic works. And now I'm stuck having to mention it again and again. So something to think about when one does descriptions is how you're going to describe it again next time.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. I mean, I think this X-ray feature is kind of interesting that way. I'm not.
Yeah.
So I would encourage everyone to go check it out with any of your work, because it just gives you another option to communicate things. And maybe there's things you don't want to write directly in the text. I don't know. It seems like a great place to kind of enhance the experience to me. But yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. How far do you go re-describing things? I mean, at what point do you stop, or do you? I mean, it's a really good question when you're redoing it. I'm trying.
I've read many books in the Jim Butcher's Harry Dresden. I haven't read the very last one that came out yet. I have it, but I haven't read it yet. But one thing I noted in his is the way he redescribes characters who come on stage all the time. And I kind of learned a little bit from him about, and I think, like I sometimes kind of, he gets down like one or two qualities that you want to know, like, the girl's really short or whatever it was, and he uses that, same, but he words it very slightly differently a lot of the time. And I kind of, when I started, I kind of took him as a model for how to do that, because I thought he did it well.
Venny, your comment was hidden by Twitter. Just a heads up for you. But yeah, got our Substack too there in the comments. I don't know if it was hidden for other people, but it was for me.
It was hidden, maybe because it's Substack. Twitter.
Oh, Substack, good call. Maybe.
Let's put the link in. They have a link.
I should say it was Rachel, right?
Yeah.
What is the subject of your Substack? What is it? Fiction? Is it professional? What are you putting on it?
Book marketing.
Yeah.
Book marketing. Oh, excellent. Very good.
Because that's what my business is, and I've always had a blog on my personal website, but once I discovered, Substack was getting way more, interesting and traffic, so. Now I just have a follow me on Substack, and I have a sponsor, which is nice. They pay for my advertising. It's a company that I've used for probably 10 years. And so we just came to an agreement, and then, I mention them in every post near the top, and then they pay for me to advertise my Substacks on Facebook.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but they are bringing up, it's interesting. What I wanted to just mention briefly, I don't want to like hijack your whole talk here about Substack, is if you want to be on a leaderboard, and if you want to be matched, they have a sponsor program now called Creator Kit. So you have to offer paid scripts or subscriptions. I was thinking prescriptions. That's not the right word. Subscriptions. If you want to make it on a leaderboard, and potentially if you get up to 100 paid subscribers, you will be eligible for the Creator Kit. So I'm like, a third of the way there at this point. But, it, to me, like I said, I'm not off putting everything behind a paywall. So I think if people put things behind paywalls, I probably would get a lot more paid subscriptions, but my goal is different. I just want to cement my expertise. So that was a good question. Like, what is it about? And for anyone who's thinking, like, what should I make my Substack about? It's no different than what you would write a blog post or an article or an essay about, usually, the topics that you're interested in. And it's not brain surgery, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's So Substack's really taken over that much, you think, especially for for a creative space?
Oh, it's huge. Like I'm literally getting PR companies and publishers asking me to work with their authors to set up and manage their Substacks because they don't. A lot of people don't really understand it because it's a blog and it goes to subscribers and
Yeah.
there's a chat function and there's Substack Notes, which is their social media. They don't do a very good job, I think, of simplifying things, but I think it's because they grew so fast over the pandemic. They just became this huge thing, but it is very big. I have clients who are artists who are on there. I have a musician, I have a photographer. So yeah, it definitely
And,
covers a lot of interests.
and if people don't know, the reason Substack took off, at least among certain portions of our community, is that they were not banning people. When all these other social medias were banning people for, like something, they wouldn't tell you why, and then suddenly they'd kick you off. Substack wasn't doing that. So a lot of people moved there because they were, even if they themselves were not in danger of banning, they were offended that some friend of theirs had been banned. So that's one of the good, so far at least, Substack has, been censoring people based on politics and things like that, which is really nice.
Have you looked at Hive, Rachel?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay. It's I would say, competitor to Substack. I'm kind of seeing it popping up on discussions from threads primarily. I'm seeing it kind of getting talked about over there. But it's like a paid service, so it's providing you a lot of the same functionality as Substack. But there's people that want to be siloed, and I see them doing that. I do think that I think Substack has a little more gas in the tank, but there's I think that they are probably not going to hit top tier kind of social ranking in the meantime. And here's an interesting thing too. I get a lot less organic traffic from or to Substack compared to Medium. And Medium cut themselves off at the knees. It really just what a fumble of that side of things. But they're updating some stuff. I would be surprised if a Medium does not find another wind in them to compete and kind of reverse course on some of the choices that they made a handful of years ago as Substack was coming up. I think that space is not necessarily solid. I think it's very fluid, and I think that the idea that we're going to get free emailing for any sort of length of time is probably unlikely, given many of the mailing systems are tightening their parameters and their costs and their tiers and stuff. So we'll see. I should have changed to Substack when it was kind of hitting that first inflection point of growth, and I liked what Medium was doing at the time because I was monetized on there, but they quickly unmade some of that stuff, and that was, I should have pivoted over to Substack. But there's a lot of stuff I'm watching on the open web, and I think think that conversation as well is not quite over yet, but I do believe that people should be taking advantage of platforms like Substack, like Medium for indexing or audience building, and just the nature of the service being free for the meantime, at least. If you can get paid subscribers on there in any sense, and I do put stuff up on Substack that is paid exclusive because I feel like I'm trying to incentivize the people that have subscribed at that level in the past or even potentially in the future, because I think that in general, if you have a significant repo of paid stuff on there, then it makes it more attractive for people that do subscribe, and to also kind of lay down a trail of breadcrumbs that says, I'm going to continue creating premium or exclusive content for people that pay. And, we see that same sort of thing on Patreon and a lot of other platforms. And also there's the side of it, like early access to things as well, that, you're able to create on there and distribute, and then, later change and make publicly and freely available.
Yeah, I like the options that you can go free, you can go paid, you can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The only thing, the way that they make their money, at least right now, and I'm sure you know this, Michael, is they take it off the subscription. So they get a percentage of that. Yeah. So they, whatever that 10%, I think, is what they take. And then if it goes through Stripe, which is what's used, at least in the United States, they take their 3.9% or whatever. So they're still getting their money.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. But let's say that you have 10,000 subscribers that you're paying a lot for through MailChimp or MailerLite or Kit or any of Constant Contact, any of them. After 1,000 subscribers, it starts getting very spendy. You can literally, import all of those subscribers to Substack completely free. There's no charge. So I think their model is why more people kind of came to them. And then they got a lot of funding. They were a startup.
Right.
So I think they really just exploded because of the alignment of the pandemic planets. And literally people were home and wanted, intellectual conversation. Plus, my final point, a lot of journalists are leaving the traditional media and starting their own independent journalism over there.
For sure.
And it's not exclusively liberal or Democrat. It's everything. I mean, if you want to go read, you could find Nazis on there if you really wanted to, because they don't censor the content. And that is right. People either love or hate.
I would say that's wonderful. Not that I, eager for people to read Nazis, but I think it's important to have a platform that lets people publish and doesn't get involved, because so often once they do start getting involved, they start with what seems like okay, let's get rid of Nazis or whatever, and then they pick people who are not actually Nazis or who are objecting to not. You know what I mean? We've seen it get abused so many times, and it's just really nice.
The slippery slope,
right? To have somebody who says, we're just a publisher. People say what they want to say,
Well,
and as you say,
I'd like to say something if it's all right.
So to follow up on the economics stuff, you loaded up, I think, 10,000 or maybe, I think you started off with 1,500 signups, which puts you in a particular tier if you're using MailerLite or MailChimp or XYZ Mail, whatever the case might be. You import them into Substack because it's free. Fantastic. They are very much, they got VC funding to push ahead on that stuff. They are driving some semblance of revenue through subscriptions and taking some kind of profit from that. Now, if you were to do the math on the profit that Substack makes off of the 40 paying subscribers, is that equivalent to the cost that it would be for you to use a mailed newsletter service for the 15,000 subscribers? I don't know, but I am curious about how that breaks down. And in between those numbers, that's where we're going to see variance over the next couple of years as Substack either increases prices or begins to take a larger slice or begins to charge, the creators to access their audience.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know the breakdown. I mean, typically, I think when I left MailerLite, I was paying about $100 a month, maybe. So I would be curious to do the math. I honestly don't know, but it seems to me like if you're paying $150 to three or $400 a month for a newsletter that you may never even do anything with, then why? You can easily dump them into Substack or perhaps one of the others that you were mentioning, Beehive or Hive or whatever.
Yeah.
I think you're going to save a lot of money that way.
Well, it's not the point isn't about us saving money. It's about how long Substack is going to be able to subsidize the activity going forward. That's what I'm speculating on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they'll probably go up to 15% or maybe even 20%. And my thought process, this is just me, is it's probably going to be in tiers. If you have this many subscribers, then they'll take this much off the top or something like that. Because I don't think, if they just changed their entire business model and said, oh, sorry, everything's behind a paywall now, everyone would flee.
Sure.
Yeah,
100%.
But there are people who do that. I mean, one of the interesting things about Substack is some people make great use of the paywall, or they have most of their stuff behind a paywall. Other people don't. And so what we don't know, because there's no way we can tell from the outside, is if enough people are getting paid that it's covering everything, then Substack will not need to make any changes because the free stuff is being subsidized by the people who do have paywalls. If in fact there's, mainly free and very little paid, then they will run into trouble. And that's not something that we can tell ahead of time. It's not.
All right, here we are up against the hour. So final comments, and let us make them brief.
So one of the things I would say about the paywalls is the accounts that I think are successfully doing paywalls are doing it. They're actually sort of doing it in a sort of a class format, as in terms of they're teaching classes, they're discussing things. Those are the ones that I think are much more effective, other than someone just having, here, read my content behind the paywall, where it's an engagement with somebody, like they're teaching a class, like read these great books. Or there's one guy's or there's Athenian Stranger's got one up there where he's has his lectures are paywalled, but it's educational, and I think those are the ones that are more effective for a paywall. And that's something.
Right. And what we can't tell is what are the percentage. If the percentages getting paid are large enough, Substack would be doing really well. If they're small compared to the amount of work they need to do, that's something we can't tell, but for right now, it's working really wonderfully, and we're really grateful, and we'll, like everything else, we'll see where it goes.
All righty. Well,
thank you guys for coming.
Yeah. Good chat. And this has gone well, and we will talk again before too long.